Greetings and welcome to the second episode of the Underrated Guitar Solos, where I talk about some of the most overlooked guitar solos in history. And today's episode is dedicated to Whitesnake. When people think of Whitesnake, they first and foremost think of their mid to late 80s insane run of albums, filled with massive hits like Is This Love or Still of the Night. The band also had a plethora of top names in the guitar world like John Sykes, Steve Vai, and Doug Aldrich. However, today, I would like to draw your attention to the origins of the band and one of its first guitar players, Bernie Marsden. Initially, Whitesnake was far from its hair metal hard and heavy sound, focusing more on the classic blues rock, and one of the most prominent hits from that era of the band was the song Don't Break My Heart Again. This is one of my favorite Whitesnake songs, which, among other things, has an extremely underrated guitar solo. Bernie Marsden was far from a shredding guitar type that became synonymous with the band later. However, he had the other ace up his sleeve, which was a superb melodism. This exact characteristic shines through the guitar solo he did for Don't Break My Heart Again. This is one of those solos that look extremely simple on the first glance, and they kinda are, to be honest, but reveal quite a few nuances when you actually start learning them. These small, subtle details separate the solo from your typical pentatonic mumbling that a lot of guitar players in the late 70s and early 80s tried to present for a valid guitar solo. Let's break this solo into tiny pieces and see what's going on there. So it starts with a pretty typical pentatonic phrase. However, right from the get-go, Bernie starts employing something that in my mind makes this solo really special, which is space between the notes. So he doesn't go through your typical pentatonic scale, though later in the solo he kinda does, but still makes it pretty original. So the next phrase is pretty long and goes like this. The melody feels really broad, and it has enough time and space to breathe, letting you to have a better taste of each note. The next phrase in my mind is completely genius. Typical pentatonic blues scale, you've heard this a billion times. However, the phrasing and the pacing of this solo makes it sound like absolutely nothing you've ever heard before. Which is followed by a pretty ballsy, again, a pretty typical blues scale. However, the attitude and the texture that it is played with makes it sound absolutely unique and instantly recognizable. My personal favorite part of the solo is the ending, which employs the most spacious and the most beautiful melody in the entire solo. Just listen closely to this part here. Spaces. A true masterclass in how to make something so ordinary sound so original. So that's it for today. Please tell me what are your thoughts on this guitar solo? And also tell me in the comments which guitar solos do you think are underrated and overlooked. Maybe I'll break some of them down here. As always, thank you so much for watching this far. Please like, subscribe, join our Discord. Have a nice day, and we'll see you in the next one.